Hello girls. So last week we had dived into the world of computer and you guys got a first introduction to how to use a computer and everything. So now we're actually going to learn more about these computers, and in order to actually program them, you'll need to have a more than fairly basic understanding of how they work. So the goals of today is that you'll be able to use a lot of these applications which I'll be introducing. You'll be familiar with the terminology. What else? You'll also be able to use search engines and actually know all the parts of a computer. And yeah, there's going to be a lot more. And also you'll be able to do the master challenge at the end of this presentation. So, some basic computer skills. Now, we had covered this last time, but I just wanted to do a basic recap of the parts of a computer. And I have this wonderful image here to help me out. So, as we discussed before, the four main parts. So, as I was mentioning earlier, the four main things that a computer needs to do to become a computer is that it needs to have an input, a processing, a storage, and an output. And this basic illustration here, it just shows, so these are some of the basic tools. We have a speaker right over here, a keyboard, which we had covered as well, a mouse, we had learned about that and how to scroll, and the cursor, which we'd also... And I remember last time we had also covered the difference between an actual computer and the monitor or display. So the monitor, what it does is it outputs. What happens is that you have the computer is in front of you, and then of course you have your keyboard. When you type something, the information goes to the computer, also the system unit, which then displays it to the monitor, which is the output device. And the speakers are also output, as in the audio and sound that would occur. The monitor is just the visuals. So, and we'd also discussed about the mouse. So here I just did a basic search of some keyboards, and there are a lot of different shortcuts within the keyboard, some basic ones which you'd need to know in order to actually start programming. So this is a virtual keyboard that I just quickly searched up, and on here you can see all the basic components of a keyboard. You have the number pad where you can dial numbers, and also a number pad as well here where there are some functions such as the percentage, dollar sign, hashtag, @ all of these signs. And then now we have the tab, which we had also covered before, and what it is basically, let's say if you're typing something, so I'll type my name right here, and then I want to indent. So indent is just basically moving to a certain amount when you're typing, usually in English and stuff. So when I click tab, what happens is it's not working on this application currently, but it'll just move it automatically to a certain amount. We had also discussed the purpose of the enter key, to just like enter the information, and also create new lines and skip. We had talked about the delete, to delete the previous information, the word, the letters. These are not in English, I believe, but we had also discussed this. We also talked about the caps. So getting in and out of caps is a very basic and very important thing to do. So this is caps like on, caps off, on, off, like that. And also now I'll tell you guys about a new one, a different one, because currently we're using the Windows operator. So you really need to know the Windows key, which I think all Windows operating computers come with. So basically when you click this button, I'll just do so right now, it takes you to this home page. You click this button back, takes you to this. So as I'm discussing these basic functions, I want you guys to all just practice and try them out so that you get more familiar with them, and also it'd be more of a second nature to you guys all after this lesson. Another one which we did not cover before, but would be fairly new, would be the numlock. And what this is this is the number pad right here, and you've got your basic functions, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and also what this is now we've got our number pad. So you can just type the numbers, and when numlock is on, I'll just show you. So I've clicked numlock, and I'm currently typing on my keyboard for the number pads, and nothing is happening. But watch this. I'll take off the numlock, and yay, numbers are appearing. So, and also there are some basic operators here which you might need. So let's say if you wanted to type 4 plus 4, you can do so right there. You can add, there's also some brackets, so if you wanted to put a number in a brackets or a word or something, but what you need to do is for all of the functions, or all of the words and all of the numbers that are up here, only on this line, what you need to do is you need to hold this button called Shift. And Shift is available right here and right here. And what this does is then, if you do not click the Shift, so I'll just show you. I'm currently using the above number pad. So this is me not using Shift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. But now wait, I didn't want to type these numbers. What if you just wanted to get one of what if you just wanted to access one of these actual functions? Let's say the $sign. So what I would do is I would hold the Shift, you need to hold it, and then I would click that $sign, and voila, it's there. Same thing for any of the other operators as well. Okay, also we have some other functions here. So we've got the greater than and less than signs. We've got the colons, semicolons, quotation marks, brackets, and question marks. Same thing as above. What you need to do is, if you want to click these, let's say if I wanted to add a period, a full stop to my sentence. So this is my sentence, let's just assume. And what I would do is I would then just click this button. But let's say if I wanted to put a greater than or less than sign. So what I would do is I would hold the Shift, and on that same button, so on that same button, what I do is there, and can also do that. So that's basically just the keyboards in a nutshell. And there are a lot of other things, such as the escape function, which is basically, let's say if you're in an application or you're in full screen of something and you want to get out, but maybe there's no minimize option or close option, what you could do is you just click this button, escape, and it'll take you away from that area. Okay, and also these over here, these buttons, these are the basic up, down. So this is to go sideways, the other side, going up and down, and usually the up and down one, you could use them for scrolling if you want, or these buttons, you normally use them for like maybe an application or a game or something that you're playing, and the player would need to go in these directions. Okay, so that was the computer, and we'd also talked a little bit about the mouse. So I just got a picture right here of a mouse, and this is the mouse, and the mouse always has a sort of a wire coming out of it. If you're using a desktop version, it'll have to have it, but if you're using a laptop, it'll come built in within the laptop, but you can also use a mouse even if you're using a laptop as well. And it just allows for easier use to access, and basically without the mouse, it'd be you wouldn't even be able to use any of the applications that are there easily. So we had talked about how a mouse can be used to scroll, so you can scroll up and down on pages. And also what you need to do is you always need to make sure that the mouse is plugged into a USB port, which we'll also be covering later on. And I'll just click X. So this is the mouse, and remember we had talked about the cursor, and this is this little thing that you guys can see all here. This is basically just a cursor, and a mouse you can use to just scroll down and scroll up. That was what we had learned it was called. Let's see, any other things that I wanted to recap from last week's lesson. I think that was basically all that we had done last week. But we have forgotten to learn how to turn off and on a computer, restarting and logging in. And these are very important functions. And as I had mentioned before, we're currently going to be using the Windows operating system, so we'll just stick with how to learn with the basic applications from there. So you click the Windows button, which it looks like this, and it's on your keyboard. You click that, and now you'll be transported to this page if you're using the Windows operating system, which I'm using, which is Windows 10, and we'll talk about operating systems in a minute. And what you can do is you have these three options right here. You have an area that you can log in, sign out, and you can go and log into another account. And basically for computers, you all have an account which you need to go into. Some you can have a password or you cannot. In this case, I do. So I would click sign out in order to sign out, and then if I wanted to go back, I would just click sign in. So where was I? So also we have this power button, and don't be afraid to just click it. When you click it, it's not going to automatically turn off the computer, but it shows you with three basic options. You have the sleep option, and what this says, its definition is that the PC or the computer, it would stay on but uses less power. All of the applications would be open when the PC wakes up, and you'll basically be instantly where you left off. And when shutting down, it means that you close all of the applications and you turn off the computer. Restarting is just to close all the apps, then to turn off the computer and then turn it on again. And this is also helpful when you're experiencing problems or whatever, or you just want to restart your computer. Now, we've discussed now before even I continue on any further, before introducing you guys to search engines and the applications and shortcuts within a computer, I thought it'd be nice if we just watched a little video on how a computer works and what really makes a computer become a computer. So this is a video by code.org, So as I was saying before, another really helpful organization that teaches that you can learn how to code online. So I'll just go full screen right over here, and I'll click space. So the space bar is also used to start or begin things, so as well as leaving space. So
my name is Mei Li Ku, and I'm a designer and an inventor. So some of the things I've designed have been at Apple, and now I design products for kids to use so that they can have an easier time in school. My other jobs include DJing and dancing. Computers are everywhere. They're in people's pockets, they're in people's cars, people have them on their wrists, they might be in your backpack right now. But what makes a computer a computer?
What does make a computer anyway?
And how does it even work?
Hi, I'm Nat. I was one of the original designers of the Xbox. I've been working with computers since I was maybe 7 years old, and now I work on virtual reality. As humans, we've always built tools to help us solve problems. Tools like a wheelbarrow, a hammer, or a printing press, or a tractor trailer. All of these inventions helped us with manual work. Over time, people began to wonder if a machine could be designed and built to help us with the thinking work we do, like solving equations or tracking the stars in the sky. Rather than moving or manipulating physical things like dirt and stone, these machines would need to be designed to manipulate information.
As the pioneers of computer science explored how to design a thinking machine, they realized that it had to perform 4 different tasks. It would need to take input, store information, process it, and then output the results. Now, this might sound simple, but these 4 things are common to all computers. And that's what makes a computer a computer.
The earliest computers were made out of wood and metal, with mechanical levers and gears. By the 20th century, though, computers started using electrical components. These early computers were really large and really slow. A computer the size of a room might take hours just to do a basic math problem.
These machines are things of gleaming, vari-colored metal and numerous flashing lights.
Computers started out as basic calculators, which was already really awesome at the time, and they were only manipulating numbers back then. But now we can use them to talk to each other, we can use them to play games, control robots, and do any crazy thing that you could probably imagine.
Modern computers look nothing like those clunky old machines, but they still do these same 4 things.
First, we're going to
I want you guys to all note how even this video had also mentioned those same 4 basic operations that all computers perform, and that is basically what makes a computer a computer. And just try to keep note of these 4 basic functions, as we'll definitely be reviewing them and needing them later on in the lessons when we actually start programming our computers. So just try to keep note of those functions.
But they still do these same 4 things.
First, we're going to talk about input. This is my favorite, because what input is the stuff that the world does or that you do that makes the computer do stuff. You can tell a computer what to do with the keyboard, you can tell them what to do with the mouse, the microphone, the camera, and now if you're wearing a computer on your wrist, it might listen to your heartbeat, or in your car, it might be listening to what the car is doing, and a touch screen can actually sense your finger, and it takes that as input on what it's doing.
All these different inputs give a computer information which is then stored in memory. A computer's processor takes information from memory, it manipulates it or changes it using an algorithm, which is just a series of commands, and then it sends the processed information back to be stored in memory again. This continues until the processed information...
Note that they've said algorithm. Please try to just kind of get your head, just remember this term algorithm. It's definitely one that we'll be going back to and really using a lot when we start programming. So we can just continue on and watch the video now.
is ready to be output. How a computer outputs information depends on what the computer is designed to do. A computer display can show text, photos, videos, or interactive games, even virtual reality. The output of a computer may even include signals to control a robot. And when computers connect over the internet, the output from one computer becomes the input to another, and vice versa.
The computers we use today look really different from the earliest thinking machines. And who knows what the computers of tomorrow will be like. My hope is that you get to help decide what you want the computers of tomorrow to look like. But across all computers, regardless of the different types of technology they use, they're always doing the same 4 things. They take in information, they store it as data, they process it, and then they output the results.
Okay, so that was the end of the video. It was a very informative one, and I really wanted to share it with you guys. It was made by code.org, which we'll also be using as a helpful resource later in the course when we start programming. So now we've covered a little bit of the basics of how computers work, and we all know that now what happens is that when you type information, what happens is the computer stores it, and then after that it outputs the information. And it first has to process the information before. So now we'll continue on and look at the applications and some also computer tricks and shortcuts which you'll need to be learning as well. So before that, before you try doing this challenge, first of all, let me just kind of show all of you guys the basic applications and files and stuff from a computer. So, oh my goodness, there's a lot of things that we need to cover. The first one would probably be something you've seen me doing a lot since probably this tutorial began, and it was I keep doing like this and this. And what this is it's just called, when you do this, this is called minimizing the screen. What happens is this is your tab, okay? And what happens when you minimize the screen is that the tab goes away, like you don't see it, but it's still always there. However, I'm not gonna do it for this one, but when you click X, so when you close the screen, the tab is gone and it's not there again unless you go to your history and manually get it, or you just go to that page again. And then we have another one, and what this does is this button, it just formats the tab to be a little bit smaller or full screen, so a little bit smaller or full screen depending on which size you like. And you can also click this button and adjust tab, make it a smaller size. Let's say if I wanted to use two web pages at the same time and I wanted to kind of look at them, so I could do something like this. Okay, so moving on. So another very important part of computers is files, and this is an application or a system, and it comes with mostly all computers and laptops. What happens, let me say I click this file. It would take me to this page here. Over here, as every document or file that I see, it's highlighted. These are the recent files that I had opened and used. Over here we have the files that are saved onto the desktop. And I'll just use my shortcut here. And let me minimize the screen. I'll minimize all of these screens. And this is basically the desktop. So when anyone says that, oh, the file is saved onto the desktop, this is the desktop. And first of all, I'll actually show you guys how to create a new file. What happens is you would right click on the mouse and then you get this page. What happens is you then click new and then you can have a new folder. And then what happens is you can name this folder. So let's say name this Girlz Code test. So this is a test. Now what happens is from this file on, I can continue on and save my documents to this file. Let's say I have this document. This is my homework. So I want to save my homework to this file. I could then click, again, right click. And over here, you can see that the Word is giving me a preview of the file and basically the information that's in it. And as I said before, you can always just rename the file if you thought maybe you wanted to change the name, so you can rename it by clicking that. Everything basically just comes with clicking the right on your mouse. And there are a lot of things that you can do. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a shortcut. So I'll copy this file. And now I'm going to go back to, I could either go here because the file is saved to the desktop. And as I said before, the previous screen was a desktop. So right over here is my file, bingo. What I could do is I can double click. I will right click again and then click paste. So copy and pasting is another very, very important part of using computers. And what this is basically just copies. When you use the copy and paste function, you're just copying the information and then basically just using it somewhere else. So let's say I've got my name and okay, so I'll just highlight it over here, and we had also discussed on how to highlight, and then I will copy it, and then now I want to paste it, let's say this side. So what I could do is, yeah, and you can also do like this, and there are also some shortcuts which you can use, and the control, when you click control and C, this is copy, control and V, this is to paste your work. Now as moving on, as I was talking before, now our Girlz Code file actually has a document, and this is how you save documents onto files, which also just makes everything more organized. And as you can see here from my thing, I am very disorganized right now. I need to go and sit down and basically just organize all of these stuff. Now, moving on, we can click to downloads, and downloading, what downloading is, oh, this is going to be a difficult one to find. So I'll just quickly search here what download means. And download is basically an application, a file, or anything. And what it is, it's when you, whoopsies, so it's when you copy data from one computer system to another, typically over the internet. This is what the Wikipedia or dictionary definition is. And what you do to download is you download data, files, applications, and more. And over here, when I click this file, this basically shows all of my downloads that I've had since getting this computer. As you can see, there are a few zip files, which we'll also go into, but not now. There are some picture files, and which is in the JPEG form. We've got some PowerPoints, Word documents, and a lot more. So that is the downloads. And we had also discussed about the documents. When you create a new document through a processor, it'll all appear here. Okay, we've got the music. If you have any music or anything, it will come here. Your pictures. So these are all my picture albums, and if you have any, it'll all show up here. Videos, and yes. So these are all saved. All of these mini things are all saved under this PC, which you have a certain amount of storage that's available because. And currently you can see that I have 862 gigabytes free out of 930 gigabytes, which we will also define later on. Now, we've covered the file, so now you know what happens when you click this File Explorer. I'll go into another app which we had used, or software, called Word. Microsoft Word is what it's called, and it's created by Microsoft, which they create a lot of other neat applications. So here's Word. I've double clicked, and what happens when you click this Word? What you do in Microsoft Word, or not only Microsoft Word, any other processing system such as Google Drive or any other sort of document system, what you do is you click a new file, as you just saw, and you have this whole option, and this is where you basically would just type up documents and stuff. So you have the home button where you can change the font. We had all discussed fonts last week. And we also have the size button where you can change the size if you want your text to be bigger or smaller. So let's say I will just use my name to just manipulate all of these. So we had all, and I will just highlight it. So highlighting is basically where everything starts. Now I want to change the font. I'll just take it to the standard Times New Roman, and the standard font size is 0.12. So you can make it 12, or if you want to be smaller, 8, 72, larger, and basically that's just how it works. But I want to bold it. So what I do is I click the bold. There's also shortcuts for all of these, but we're not going to go into them right now. Underline, but what if you don't want to underline the standard line? You can go and check. There are some zigzags, I guess, dotted lines, and bold lines, double lines, and more. But we'll just stick with the standard. If you want to italicize the line, put it in italics. You can get it there. You want to subscript. So basically, this is for when you're doing, I don't know, math and stuff, and you need to have the exponents. You want to cross out the word. If you want to highlight the text, you can just choose your color. Change the color of the text. You can do it so right here. Make it bigger or smaller. This is another shortcut. And now, if you want to take your text to the center of the page, you can center it. You can put it to the far right, or you can put it to the far left. You can put it into a paragraph format, and more. And also, another thing that you need to know is the bullets. So it's basically when you're making points or notes and you want to take them in these form. This is the standard one. You can also have number bullets in the 1, 2, 3 format. We also talked a bit about undoing and redoing in Word. And undoing and redoing, this is a function that's common to a lot of other applications as well, not just Word. And here is when you want to space out the line paragraph, so you want to make it bigger space between each line. This is just shading. And there's a lot more other tools that you need to know. Here you can add some pictures, some shapes to the application. If you wanted to add a header, is basically maybe you want to put a page number or some fancy text at the top. a footer, and the thing about these two header and footers is that it remain constant for all the pages. Page number, this is very important. You would click this for the top of the page, the bottom of the page, you click the one that you'd like. A cover page, this is also useful as well. And the word that I'm using is currently the 2013 one. There's the latest one, I think 2016 or above, I'm not sure. But we also have our copy and paste functions, which I mentioned before. Really important. Let's see if I copy this. Now I click enter, go to the next line, paste, voila. Now I'll undo my action. And also we have the cut option as well. Cut is basically to just remove the text or whatever. And why you do this instead of deleting is usually if you just want to just put it somewhere else or paste it somewhere else. So that was just the Microsoft Word in a nutshell, and really it stays constant for most of the other word processing systems. And once you know how to use this, you'll basically know how to use all of the other ones that are available as well, give or take some minor tweaks. Oh, and another one would be zooming in and out of the page. As you can see, there's an option here to basically zoom in, zoom out, and I'll just take it to the standard 100%. You can make the text in read mode where you won't be able to type, you'll only be able to read the text. And here I'll put it back to our writing mode. And yeah, so that is Microsoft Word in a nutshell. I'll click X. Now, when you're exiting Microsoft file, or basically any other file as well, it asks you whether you'd like to save the changes to your document. You click Don't Save, the document would not be saved and it would be deleted. However, the document would be auto-saved, I guess, for a couple, not too long, but just for like maybe a month or two. After that, it will be permanently deleted. Click Cancel. This means maybe you'd like to continue on editing the script. You click Save, you are finished with your work, or you're temporarily done and you just want to save what you have on there right now. So I'll just save it. And over here, as you can see, we have our file explorer, which we had actually explored before. So this is a file name, and this is what the file would be called. I'll call this file Girlz Code test again, and another thing to keep in mind is that no two documents can share the same name. So if I had another document called Girlz Code test, I would just add one in front or something to just kind of differentiate itself. Now, you have here, it tells you to save the document as type. There are a lot of different types of documents which are available and which you can save them as. Two of the main ones which you'd be using would be a Word document, which means that when you go back, you would be able to still edit in this form. And another one would be PDF, and which we'll be discussing more later on. So for now, we'll just save it as a Word document. Click Save. And now, when you go to our File Explorer, you'll see our recent file is the Word document. We'll double click it just to see what happens. And voila, it takes us back to our document which we were editing. Now, I want to save this onto the Girlz Code test file. And this is where you would just do copy, or you can also send it just to the desktop. But this is an easier way just to copy the file. So as I did before, now we can just go to the desktop, which we had saved the file under, folder I mean, and we'll just look over here, look for it. Oh, there it is. Right click, paste the file, and there it is. You have now saved it under the certain folder called Girlz Code test. Okay, so now I think we've finished learning about the files, Microsoft Word, and we'll continue on to learn about the search engines. So this is a really, really important part of most computers, and what it is it's just a way that you can search all of information and just basically find links and tabs and stuff. What a search engine really is a way to search the information on the World Wide Web. So I'll just define search engine. Yeah, so it's designed to search information from the World Wide Web, as I had stated before. There are a lot of different search engines available. When I add an S, there's such big ones such as Google, Mozilla, Yahoo, Bing, a lot of different search engines. So these are a lot of other ones which you have. The one which I'm currently using is Google. This is the search engine, but I'm using Mozilla as well. So how to use a search engine? It's in a search engine, there's always these things called tabs. And what a tab is just basically your new screen and a new place to search an information or a certain piece of text. So let's say if I wanted to search, maybe we'll just go to our Girlz Code website. So www.girlzcode.org, or I would just type Girlz Code. So this right here is the domain name. So if I just type girlzcode.org, whoopsies, it'll take us to that web page. But let's say if you wanted to actually search something. So I'll go to the Google page right here. And maybe you wanted to find what an apple was. And I'll just specify the fruit because there is a company called Apple. And what this part is of a search engine is basically just where you would type the information. And then here, these are the results. As you scroll down, you can see there's a lot of different results about an apple. We have some images of apples, news about apples, videos, books, and more. So scrolling down, these are basically the results page, and all of the results are placed into this page defined on a ranking. So now, as we had talked before, there are a lot of things that you can use. So if you wanted to go back, go back to your history, you can click this button right here, and it'll take me back. And so a basic thing that you need to know when using search engines is there's something called a link. And links basically just transfer you to the specific page. Let's say I have this video from code.org. What I do is I just highlight, so double click. Okay, so just double click this whole, double click this whole, all these words on this thing. And then I go to a new tab, and then I would click paste. And then what happens is when I click enter, you'll see, just wait a little bit, it's loading. And what it's going to do is it's going to just transfer me back to that specific page. And this is called a link. Links basically take you to the other, it helps you navigate through the website as well, through the search engines as well. So that's just basically some search engines in a nutshell. Specifically this one which I'm using Google, what you need to do is you can optionally this is an option to sign in using a Gmail, which is a mail account. It's an email account. And you have all of these other apps and stuff that are available using this same one account. So I'll just minimize the screen here. And now I've done the basic lesson which we were planning on doing today. We covered some files and stuff. And now you need to try. Turn on the computer by yourself, log in, then log out. Try creating a new file and name it Girlz Code. Then I want you to complete the word type test to just see your speed and improve your speed and accuracy when typing in computers. We had already covered this. And one basic thing which is really important. So I kept mentioning this thing called Windows. What exactly is Windows? Windows is an operating system which I'm currently using to use this computer. There are a lot of different types of operating system. Let's say there's Mac OS, there's Linux, and there's a lot other types as well. So when I type here an operating system, this is the beauty of search engines. So I'll just type here operating system. So an operating system is a software that supports the computer's functions. Yes, it does. And what it does is it schedules the tasks and more and enables to do. So when I click operating systems, we'll get to learn a bit more of the examples. So one which I'm using, okay, let me just type this. So the one which I'm using here is currently this one, Windows, but I'm using Windows 10. So there's a lot of different ones. So there's one completely one by Apple called Mac OS, You have these ones called Linux, and a lot more. So I guess now that's the end of the lesson and what it basically planned that we'd all do for this today. And now what you guys are going to be able to do is you're going to try to use all of the skills which we've learned today to do the master challenge. And the master challenge, which I'm going to explain to you guys later live when we're meeting, is just this big challenge you should all be able to do in twos, partners of twos. And what you'd be able to do is then do a lot of these other functions which I had done in this tutorial. So, oh, I also forgot the terminology. So we had already discussed the file, we discussed desktop, screen, and what exactly is import and export. Oh, and CPU. So for CPU, if you want to check the exact one, you can just type this, and I think it's central processing unit. And what it is the electronic circuitry within a computer that carries out the instructions of a computer program by performing the basic arithmetic. And here we have the words output and input again. And what input and output is? Input is basically information or data that goes in, and output is what would come out of that after being processed. Much of how a computer works. And actually another part would be importing and exporting. Importing and exporting is kind of the same thing. You're taking one file from another. Usually you're exporting file or data or something, or importing them as well. And I think that's all of what we've covered. So don't worry if any of these concepts are still new to you or you're having trouble grasping them. You're definitely going to have a long way to go to just get familiar with them. But with time and practice, don't worry, this would all become second nature. And next week's topic, which we'll be covering in our meeting, we will begin to learn actually how computer works. We're going to dive in more so that the week after we can actually start our basic programming and skills. So bye for now, guys. And what you can be doing for the remainder of this meeting is just working on the master challenge and just getting familiar with all of these terms and concepts and terminology which are presented to you guys today. Bye.